The heat in Marrakesh was unforgiving, but I refused to stop walking. I am Eleanor, 74 years old, and entirely too stubborn for my own good. Since my husband passed, I had been traveling the world alone, trying to outrun the suffocating silence of my empty house in London. I told my friends I was seeking adventure. But deep down, I knew I was just trying to exhaust my body so I could finally sleep at night. I turned a corner in the bustling Medina and hit a wall of sound. Motorbikes revved, vendors shouted prices for leather and spices, and tourists chattered in a dozen languages. I felt a sudden violent wave of dizziness. My chest tightened. I stumbled, gripping the edge of a display table to steady myself. "Madame, sit! Please, sit!" A wooden stool was shoved under me. I collapsed onto it, breathing hard. A glass of water appeared in my hand. When the spots in my vision cleared, I saw an old man looking at me with concern. He had a white beard and deep wrinkles etched around kind eyes. He was the shopkeeper. "I am fine," I snapped, my British propriety kicking in to mask my weakness. "It is just the heat." "The heat is a heavy guest today," the man said softly. "I am Hassan. Drink, please." I drank. I looked around the shop. It was filled with intricate geometric lanterns that cast dancing shadows on the walls. It was surprisingly cool and quiet inside, shielded from the chaos of the street. Suddenly, a voice erupted from a loudspeaker just outside the shop. It was loud, melodic, and piercing. "Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!" I flinched. "It is so loud," I complained, rubbing my temples. "Doesn't it drive you mad? 5 times a day? Every single day?" Hassan smiled gently. He didn't look offended. "If you're walking in a desert and you're lost, madame, and someone shouts, 'Here is water,' do you complain about the volume of his voice? Or do you run toward the water?" I paused, the glass halfway to my mouth. "I suppose I would run to the water, but I am not lost, and I am not thirsty. Well, not spiritually, at least." "We are all thirsty," Hassan said, taking a seat opposite me. "The soul gets thirsty just like the body, but we feed the body with food, and we starve the soul. That is why we are sad. That is why we are anxious. That is why we cannot sleep." I felt a chill despite the heat. How did he know about the sleeping? "I'm not anxious," I lied. "I'm just old and tired." "In my faith," Hassan said, "we do not see age as a decline. We see it as a nearing. You are getting closer to the meeting." "The meeting?" "The meeting with your maker. When you were young, you were busy building the world. Now the world is slipping away so you can focus on who created it. It is a gift." I had never considered my aging a gift. I saw it as a theft. My beauty, my energy, my husband, my friends. Time was stealing them one by one. I stood up, feeling defenseless. "I should go. How much for the water?" "It is charity," Hassan said. "But promise me one thing. Tonight, when the sun goes down and the city gets quiet, just listen. Don't listen with your ears. Listen with your heart." I walked away, but Hassan's words followed me like a shadow. That night in my riad, I lay awake. The luxury sheets felt heavy. At 4:30 a.m., the city was dead silent. Then it started. The pre-dawn call to prayer. As-salatu khayrun minan naum. Prayer is better than sleep. I went to the window. I saw a man in the alleyway below, unrolling a small rug on the cobblestones. He looked like a street cleaner. He took off his shoes. He raised his hands, then folded them over his chest. He bowed. Then he did something that baffled me. He dropped to his knees and placed his forehead on the dirty ground. He stayed there for a long time. I watched, mesmerized. I was a woman of status. I had never bowed to anyone. The idea of putting one's face on the ground, the highest part of the body on the lowest dust, seemed humiliating. Yet, looking at that man, I didn't see humiliation. I saw relief. He looked like he was unloading a heavy burden off his back and giving it to the earth. When he stood up, he looked light. I looked at my own reflection in the window. I looked heavy. The next day, I went back to the lantern shop. Hassan was polishing a brass fixture. He smiled as if he had been expecting me. "I watched them," I said without a greeting. "Why do you put your head on the ground? It seems undignified." Hassan set the lamp down. "Madame Eleanor, where does a tree get its strength? From the roots deep in the soil. The closer you are to the ground, the closer you are to your reality. We are made of dust, and we return to dust. When you put your forehead on the ground, you are telling God, 'I am small, and you are great. I am weak, and you are strong.' And in that moment of submission, He gives you His strength. You empty your heart of ego, and He fills it with peace." "I have too much ego," I whispered, my voice trembling. "I have spent 74 years building my pride." "And is it heavy?" Hassan asked. "It is crushing me," I admitted, tears suddenly pricking my eyes. "I am so lonely, Hassan. I talk to no one. I have money, I have freedom, and I have absolutely nothing." "You have a creator who is closer to you than your jugular vein," Hassan said intently. "He has been waiting for you to ask Him for help. You don't need an appointment. You don't need to be young. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to turn." "I don't know how," I wept. The dam broke. The grief of the last 10 years poured out in the middle of a shop in Marrakesh. Hassan waited patiently until I caught my breath. "Do you believe there is a God?" I think I always have. But I didn't know Him. I thought He was angry. I thought He left me. He never leaves. We leave. Do you believe He is one? That He has no son, no partner, no equal? "Yes," I said. The logic had always bothered me in my childhood faith. The idea of God being one, singular and absolute, felt right. It felt clean. "Do you believe Muhammad was a man, a messenger who brought this truth?" I thought about the man praying in the alley. I thought about the peace in Hassan's eyes. "Yes, I believe he must have been." "Then you are ready to unload your burden." Hassan guided me through the words. It was difficult for my tongue to shape the Arabic syllables, but my heart understood the language perfectly. "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah." As I spoke, I felt a physical sensation in my chest. It was as if a tight knot, one that had been pulling tighter for decades, suddenly snapped and unraveled. "Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah." I finished the sentence and gasped, taking the first deep, full breath I had taken in years. The air tasted sweet. Hassan didn't cheer. He didn't make a scene. He simply looked at me with profound respect. "Welcome, my sister. You have just been born." I stayed in Morocco for 3 more weeks. I learned to pray. The first time I finally lowered myself to the carpet, the first time my forehead touched the ground, I hesitated. My pride flared up one last time. But then I let go. I pressed my forehead down. The world stopped spinning. The anxiety vanished. In that position, face down, I realized I wasn't falling. I was being held. When I eventually returned to London, my house was the same. The rain was the same. But Eleanor was different. I was no longer the old woman waiting to die in the silence. I was a servant of the ever-living. Now, when I wake up at 4:30 a.m., I don't lie in bed fearing the dark. I get up, wash my face, and stand on my prayer mat. In the middle of London, I whisper, "Allahu Akbar," and I am never ever lonely again.